What's up, everyone? Before we get started with this episode, I just want to make sure to like, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify, make sure to follow and turn on notifications. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. I'm very, very confident, and I love this community. I love the way we're trending, and I love being able to talk sports with all of you guys. So make sure you subscribe, you follow whatever platform you're on, and you make sure to share it with your friends. But always, keep God number one, and let's get right into the episode. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to episode 16 of the BROGAN HILLMAN Show. I'm so glad you're going to be able to join me here today as we go through these new topics. The college football AP top 25 heading into week 2, some games that you should know about in college football week 2, and then flipping the switch to the National Football League, the NFL. Week 1 set to kick off here soon. I have 5 sleeper teams that are serious threats to contend for a Super Bowl. But before we get into it, we have the Bible verse. Today's Bible verse is Joshua 1:9, and it goes, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened, and do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." Pretty much saying that everywhere you go in life, the places that you walk, the places that you go, the corner store, you're going to school, you're going to work, the Lord is always with you, and the Lord loves you no matter what. He is always by your side. He is there for you. So why would you be dismayed? You are strong and courageous because the Lord gives you strength and courage, and He is always there beside you, and He will never forsake you, and He will never leave you. So we shall not do the same to Him. We should live and serve with all of our might. We should do everything we do in His name, and we should continue to grow our relationship with the Lord because He provides us everything we need that is vital in this life. So this verse is just saying, do not get dismayed. Be courageous. Be strong, for I provide you with these things, and I am always here for you, so nothing can get you down. Always worship the Lord. It's a great day, every single day, to wake up and give your best foot forward, become the best Christian you can be and the best man or woman you can be moving forward. And just remember that the Lord is always with you. But now let's get right in to college football week 2 AP poll rankings. This week is kind of crazy the way it all shook out. We know what happened. Ohio State defeating Texas in week 1 in the horseshoe, jumping up to that 1 spot. Well deserved, very well deserved. I think Ohio State's hands down one of the best teams. Let me say the best team in college football. I believe that defense that Matt Patricia was running, translating over from the league, just running these crazy disguises, blitz, all-out coverage, everything that he ran, they were just unstoppable. They got Arch Manning in a loop. He was so confused. He didn't know where to put the ball. He didn't know how to read that defense. He didn't know what was going to be thrown at him next, and he just struggled mightily against this Ohio State defense. Caleb Downs, the leader of that defense, was just commanding those guys in the backfield. Matt Patricia was dialing up exactly what they needed, and they jump in to this 1 spot. Penn State's going to stay at the 2, which I also think is well-deserved, coming off a college football semifinal appearance that did not end the way they wanted. A very brutal Drew Allar interception within the final minutes there, and that really put a stamp on their season last year. But they're trying to get right back into that spot. They're sitting here at 2. They're in a good position. They just destroyed Nevada 46-11. So they're going to stay right where they were to start this season, and they are cemented at that 2 spot. And number 3, LSU. We saw them with a huge win over Clemson in Death Valley, which now we don't even really know the meaning of because it can go either way. But LSU clearly showing that they want to be the real Death Valley this season. They jump up to 3 with a huge win. Garrett Nussmeier currently leads the Heisman race, and he is sitting number 1 atop of those odds. Number 4 is going to be Georgia. They came in at 5 this season, not a surprise to anyone. They went out and they killed Marshall in their home stadium, little pay game. A surprise to, again, nobody, and they are sitting here moving up a rank at number 4. Miami's going to be number 5 after coming in previously into week 1 as number 10. They jump up 5 spots into the 5th spot, sitting top 5. A beautiful spot for them to be in. I mean, they're the first ACC school on the AP rankings, and they are moving very well after defeating Notre Dame 27-24. Carson Beck had a great game. He looked to put it all together with the Hurricanes. He translated into that Cam Ward spot perfectly. He played his own style of football, and they were very, very good down the stretch, and they were able to close that game out. Number 6 is going to be Oregon. Dante Moore, a kid that was very highly talented at UCLA. I enjoyed watching him play, and I'm very glad he's getting a starting opportunity now. He was sitting behind Dylan Gabriel last year, but now he obviously has the keys to that offense. And man, did that offense look good because they beat Montana State 59-13. They put it on them, didn't really give them much of a chance. They were explosive out of the get-go. It was 21-0 before you even knew the game was on, and Oregon continued to roll, and they move up a singular rank. And our first faller, you're going to see a little trend here with these next 3 placements. Number 7, Texas, like we mentioned, couldn't get anything going on offense, fell to Ohio State. Their 1 touchdown, which saved them from being shut out. They virtually would have had a big donut on the board looking like the Oregon logo right there, but they were able to get a touchdown with 1:30 left. Arch Manning, nice little dump pass all the way down to the end zone. His tight end goes and finds it. They reviewed it, but they said it stands, so they got their 7 points, much like their ranking heading into this week. And then Clemson obviously lost to that Garrett Nussmeier-led LSU team. Brian Kelly finally gets past the fact he couldn't win a season opener, and they get it done. And that lands Clemson at number 8, right behind Texas. And then behind Clemson is going to sit Notre Dame, the team that lost to that Carson Beck-led Hurricane offense. They didn't look terrible. It was a great game, 27-24. Banged out a field goal with about a minute left. That Miami kicker was kicking automatic, and they looked very, very good. Notre Dame, again, not anything to worry about. They dropped one week 2 to Northern Illinois, and they were in the Natty game last year. So it's really nothing to worry about for Notre Dame. I think they'll be sitting just fine, and for now, they're going to be number 9, still in the playoffs at a large bid to start off heading into week 2. And then a team that I think is going to continue to climb these rankings. I don't think they're going to be 10 for long. I think they're going to be in those singular digits very, very soon is South Carolina. They have a tough schedule again. They had a tough schedule last year, and they ended up going on a win streak. They got to 9-3, made a bowl game, and they were looking very good. Lenore Sellers, my personal Heisman favorite. I want him to take home that trophy. I think he is electric. He is one of the best football players in the country. Honestly, my favorite quarterback to watch play. I think South Carolina is going to rise up those ranks, but for now, they enter in as number 10. And then Illinois, a team that jumped up. They swapped places with Arizona State. It was 11-12. They're pretty interchangeable. They both had good weeks. Illinois killed, I believe it was Western Illinois by a score of 52-3. And then we saw Arizona State. They played Northern Arizona, who is a pretty tough opponent in their regard. I was watching that game, and they had some ballers. Northern Arizona was not to just be shut out and roll on the floor. I mean, they gave Arizona State a challenge there for a little bit, but the Sun Devils were never going to lose that game. They came out on top 38-19, and they just, again, swapped their place with Illinois on the board. And then 13 is going to be the Florida Gators. They came in at 15 to start off the season. They move up 2 after destroying Long Island University 55-0. Who's shocked about that? Not a lot of people, but Florida finds its way up 2 ranks. And then Florida State. Here we go. The first big eye-opener of this AP poll, sitting at 14 after we all know what they did. Thomas Castellanos, he backed up his word. He said it over the offseason. I don't see Bama stopping me, and they couldn't. He was moving. He was mobile in the pocket. He was extending plays, getting first downs, moving the ball at ease. Thomas Castellanos led that Seminoles team to a victory on Saturday, and now they find themselves shot all the way up at number 14, and we see where Bama sits all the way down, but we'll get to them in a little minute. And then a team that has the big game on the board this week, the Michigan Wolverines. They find themselves at 15. They came in at 14. They drop a ranking after playing a close game with New Mexico. It wasn't really a close game, but 34-17 is a lot closer than it probably should have been. But the Wolverines are going to set that aside, and they have their eyes set on Oklahoma, who we also see on the board. But before we get to them, 16 is going to be Iowa State. They've been playing great ball to start off the year. They came in, started the season at 22. They moved up 6 spots in this new AP poll. They beat South Dakota 55-7. They've looked very, very good to start off this year. Again, they move all the way up, started in that low bottom 20s, and now they're all the way up at 16, hoping to crack the top 15 come next week. SMU, another ACC team on this board, going to be sitting at 17. They came into the AP polls just like who else dropped 1? I believe Michigan. Just like Michigan, they dropped 1. They were 16. Now they're 17. Haven't really done all too much this season except beat East Texas A&M. Not Texas A&M. East Texas A&M 42-13. So SMU is going to be in at that 17 spot. And then we have Oklahoma, who's going to be sitting at 18, and they face Michigan, a 15 versus 18 matchup in Norman, Oklahoma this week. That's going to be College Game Day. All eyes on them. It's going to be a great atmosphere, great game, and it's going to have some implications for the rankings, because if Oklahoma can come up on top, they're probably going to take that spot, might swap, might even move up a little bit. Who knows how those are going to shake out, because who knows what's going to happen in week 2. Plenty of things that can happen, can skew this whole board. We can get off-kiltered. Someone can fall off. Someone can get upset. Alabama. We've seen it happen before, so who knows what these rankings are going to shape up this time next week. But for now, they find themselves at 18, and then the real Texas A&M comes in at 19. They played good ball to start off the year. UTSA gave them a little run in week 1, but UTSA is a very respected opponent. I see the Roadrunners as a good, solid football team. We obviously know their head coach has done a phenomenal job with his tenure with the Roadrunners, and they continue to look pretty sharp. But Texas A&M was able to get the win, and they're going to hold off and be at the 19. Ole Miss, who went out and destroyed Georgia State, sorry for snatching chains, but they had to go out and get it back in blood. It was 63-7 after a slow start for Ole Miss, but Austin Simmons and that Rebels team got it together, and they smacked the Panthers. 21, Alabama. This is what happens to you. You can start off in the preseason top 10. You can be number 8, and you still find a way to lose. Alabama is not the same team that they were. We know this. This is evidence. The whole talk of the town. Kalen DeBoer is not any Nick Saban, but I think we knew that when he got hired. But we were not expecting Florida State to come in and play the game that they did and knock Alabama all the way down to 21. And in a couple weeks, they might not even be on these rankings anymore. They might not even be relevant when it comes to rankings, but hey, anything can happen. That team can catch fire. I really like the way Ty Simpson played. I'm a big Ty Simpson guy. I think that was that O-line's problem. I think that he needs more time back there to maneuver. He was getting out of sacks. He was elusive in the pocket. He was extending plays. He just didn't have much help on that field, and that lands them back at 21. And then 22, a team that I'm very high on. I think they're personally better than Alabama. I'm a big Joey Aguilar guy, and I think he absolutely balled out in week 1 for the Volunteers. Tennessee, they're going to come in at 22. Again, I think they're going to rise up these ranks. They're going to climb gradually week after week, and I think they're going to surprise a lot of people in college football this season. Do I think they're national championship contenders per se? Probably not. But I do think they have the chance to come out and play some nice football games and make some stuff interesting. So keep an eye on the Volunteers as we head down this list. And then 23 is going to be Indiana, the Hoosiers, coming off again. Kurt Cignetti ball, he's talking a lot of talk. He's backing it up. They're 23. They look good so far. They beat Old Dominion, sort of squeezed by him. Only beat him by 13, 27-14. Probably should have been just a little bit better in terms of Indiana's score differential, but they got the win. That's all that matters. They're going to come out and they're going to correct that and get better week after week. Indiana, for now, is sitting at 23. And 24, a team from the Big 12, Texas Tech, a team that I'm very high on. I think they're going to be very good down this course of the season. They're going to continue to play well. They're going to put it all together. They're going to gradually grow. They dropped down a spot, but that's all right. They're still within the top 25. I think they'll get better. Better might win some key matchups. The Big 12 is not too competitive this season, and they might have a lane to go and grab a playoff spot. But I'm pretty high on Texas Tech, and I think they can do a lot of great things. And at 25, it's going to be the Utah Utes. Quarterback played a phenomenal game. They looked very good. Came out and destroyed Nico Iamaleava by a lot. 43-10. They took care of that game, and they look to continue to just dominate and win big games down the stretch. So look out for Utah. But yeah, that is our top 25. Some things that we saw last week that were unprecedented. The very first time that the preseason number 1 were underdogs, and obviously they ended up losing. Texas could not deal with that Ohio State defense. Also, 4 of the top 10 teams lost, which is the most ever in week 1, the opening week of the season. We saw obviously Texas, Clemson, Notre Dame, and Alabama all within the top 10 fall on Saturday. Absolutely crazy. And then FSU obviously being that team that upsetted Alabama. Thomas Castellanos talked all that crap. He came out and backed it up, and he looked like a true certified dog. And then obviously Boise State, who was 25 before Utah took their spot, for very good reason. Boise State lost 34-7 against a team that I'm very high on this season, USF. And there's one name I'll give you as to why I'm high on USF. You've probably heard it by now, honestly, after that big explosive victory. Byron Brown, that quarterback is insane. He runs guys over. He just seeks the contact, and then he'll run guys over. He broke 6 tackles on a play that got called back, but he still ran it 37 yards in. He is a madman. He is crazy, and USF has some legit players this season. Don't be surprised if you see their names in any interesting storylines or hypotheticals, because USF, those Bulls are legit, and we'll talk a little more about them later as well, but they are for real. And the last thing I have noted here is just Carson Beck. Very surprised. Honestly, I was happy with both quarterbacks in that Miami-Notre Dame matchup. CJ Carr, for his first ever college game as a starter, he delivered for that Irish squad. They didn't get the victory per se, but he came out and he gave his all. He had a rushing touchdown. He was making plays. He was extending, and he looked good, and he definitely does have a future with Notre Dame. They should be all right. They'll get pieces together. They'll keep winning games, and hopefully we'll see them come December or January. But Carson Beck and this Miami squad, I believe we will definitely see them come January, as they have been balling and they find themselves at 5. I think they're going to have great redemption for even missing the playoffs last season, and I have a lot in store for the Hurricanes this season. But this is the top 25, so that rounds out this segment. Very good this week, very, very entertaining, and I'm hoping next week's even better. So we'll see these games we have. We'll get into some important matchups, but this is your AP poll top 25 for week 2. We've gone over the AP poll for next week, but something that I want to get more specific into is 5 matchups that I think everyone needs to watch or at least keep their eye on with week 2, because these games are going to be absolutely crazy, and we're going to get into the obvious to start it off. The obvious matchup that everyone should be watching, should be tuned in on, should be keeping tabs on is Michigan versus Oklahoma, because this one is going to be a great matchup. College game day, week 2, Bryce Underwood's second ever start with Michigan, and he is being thrown under bright lights. They're going to be playing in Norman, Oklahoma, and the freshman is going to be asked to step up big time for this Shamar Moore team and the Wolverines. And then on the flip side of that, Oklahoma, a team that played very, very well in week 1, a team that I'm very excited about this whole stretch of the season. They got John Mateer, and that's all you need to tell me. He is a great quarterback, very elusive, makes plays, absolute stud, and I don't care if he has parlays in on Saturday, but he is going to ball out because I'm going to have parlays in on Saturday, and he's going to be on them. So whether he decides to put one in or not, he can Venmo me if he wants. But I got John Mateer playing an absolute great game against Michigan. This is going to be a showdown if it goes down the way that we think it can. John Mateer, that Sooner squad is going to be elevated by playing at home, game day. That environment is just going to keep feeding and feeding and feeding on campus. You're going to feel the energy in this matchup. 2 blue blood historic college football programs, a freshman at quarterback for one, a stud transfer at quarterback for the other. It's going to be a showdown. I'm so excited to see this matchup. It's going to be a hype matchup at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, and I cannot wait to see this matchup take place. So that's why for my first game you need to watch, it is Michigan versus Oklahoma. And now my second matchup, you might not see this one coming. It's Florida UCF. UCF. It's Florida USF, University of South Florida, not Central, because I'll tell you why. Byron Brown for this USF squad is a unit. We were just talking about him in the last segment, the way he seeks contact, the way he runs guys over, the way he is not your traditional quarterback. If he sees something he likes on a read option, on an RPO, he's pulling it himself, he's taking it, he's lowering his shoulder at the D line. This kid is a freak of nature. He is an athlete. He makes plays. He extends plays. He has an arm. He might overshoot at times, but he still gets the ball down there. He gives his receivers a chance to make a play on the ball. He drops it in the breadbasket, and he just overall extends plays. He is a receiver that he connects with that I am very, very high on, and USF is a team to keep in mind. And all that being said, they play week 2 against Florida, the number 13 team in the country, the team that has DJ Lagway, one of the best sophomores in the country. He's in a very talented sophomore pool, but he is playing like an absolute dog. They absolutely walked over the Long Island Sharks, and now they're trying to do the same to the Bulls. But I don't know if they're going to. It's going to be a great matchup, back and forth. DJ Lagway, I mean, there's just 2 great quarterbacks in this matchup. It's much like we saw in that Notre Dame-Miami game with Carson Beck and CJ Carr. Byron Brown and DJ Lagway are about to battle it out. Byram's the more experienced one of them too. He's coming off injury from last year, so he's playing with a chip on his shoulder. DJ Lagway is trying to solidify his starting job. He's a solidified starter. Let me rephrase this. He wants to solidify his love and the people around him in Tallahassee. He wants Florida to be great, and they are going to be in an absolute shootout and play a wonderful game come Saturday. That's why I have USF versus Florida as the second game that you need to keep your eye on. For the third one, I have Vanderbilt versus Virginia Tech. Kyron Drones and this Tech team is coming off a brutal loss to South Carolina to open up their season. They're 0-1. They just lost again to that Lenore Sellers-led Gamecock squad. I'm high on Kyron Drones. He missed a lot of throws that could have potentially helped them lead a comeback in that game. He was on the run a lot, just missing targets. You need to slow down, settle into your throw, step into it, get it to your guys. Aiden Green, receiver for this Virginia Tech squad, is a unit. He is a dog. If you get him the ball, he can make plays after the catch. He can extend, and he can just do crazy things when he has the rock in his hand. So I just believe you got to settle in, get your run game established, get Aiden Green going, get the ball in your guys' hands, and continue to play solid football. And on the flip side of that, Diego Pavia and this Vanderbilt team were upset machines last season. They were beating team after team. The Commodores are legit. They want to go into this season and prove that they are not just a one-off from last year. They want to go into this and prove that they can hang with everybody they play, and they can actually play against solid competition such as Kyron Jones and Virginia Tech. They're in the SEC. They've been the doormat of that conference for however long. They're trying to flip that narrative. They're trying to rewrite their history, and they're doing that against a team that just lost to the Heisman, one of the Heisman frontrunners in Lenora Sellers. So they are trying to get one back, because if you go 0-2 in the ACC to start off the season in non-conference play, it's going to be impossible to dig yourself out of that hole. Not impossible, but nearly impossible to dig yourself out of that hole. Kyron Jones does not want that for his Hokie squad, and Diego Pavia wants it more than anything. He is a competitor. He's a fierce guy. You speak of Byron Brown running over defenders. He's not nearly as tall, but he sure is as aggressive. He'll sure go right through you, just like Byron Brown. These are two teams fighting for contention, fighting to prove themselves as programs and not get buried into the hole. So watch this matchup. It has implications, and this is going to be a game that's going to be very well played, and I expect to see two great quarterbacks going at it, and it's going to be much-watched college football. The fourth matchup, I'm going a different route with this. This has nothing to do with Charlotte, so if you see them on your screen and you ask yourself why, this is why. North Carolina just got, I don't even have an adjective to describe what just happened to them. We heard the commentators say they got the boot to their backside. That's a nice way to put it. 48-14, one of those touchdowns coming in garbage time. Max Johnson, great story there, by the way. Max Johnson to his twin brother for the touchdown, but nonetheless, they got cakewalked by TCU. This matchup right here, I'm comparing it to last season when Florida State dropped their opener to Georgia Tech, and everyone was like, okay, they just lost their first matchup. That wasn't supposed to happen. And then they went out again and they lost and they lost. They lost to Memphis. They lost to other schools. This is the situation that North Carolina is in. If they lose this matchup to Charlotte, they are done. They are in the dirt. And we know that panic meter is through the roof. Bill Belichick experiment did not work. This is a staple game, a ruler game to see where your program is at. If they lose this game to Charlotte or they play it any closer than it needs to be, they are in deep trouble, and we know where this team stands. That is why I have it as the fourth game that you need to keep an eye on, you need to track, you need to keep tabs on this upcoming college football week, because if North Carolina cannot get over the small hurdle that is Charlotte, they have much darker games coming on their horizon. So keep an eye on this. It's a ruler game for North Carolina, and we need to see just where this Tar Heel squad is if we didn't get shown that already against TCU last night. All right, the fifth and final game, UCLA versus UNLV. It's kind of similar to the North Carolina situation in terms of UCLA. Even though they're favored in this matchup, they just got cakewalked themselves against a very good Utah team that's coming to make noise in the Big 12. UCLA, not so much. Nico Iamaleava, starting quarterback for this squad, got brutally contested against Utah, and UNLV is a team that's 2-0 to start the season. Dan Mullen and a heckload of transfers on that Las Vegas squad. Los Angeles versus Las Vegas. It's going to be a great game. UCLA is favored, but honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if UNLV comes out on top of this game, and I wouldn't be surprised if they controlled the game for the majority of it. I'm a big Dan Mullen guy. I love this squad. I think that UNLV has a big chance to make some noise, and they can do that by proving themselves, starting off the season 3-0 and walking over UCLA and a squad that has a former 5-star quarterback at the helm. If UNLV can get through UCLA and again use this as their ruler game, much as North Carolina is against Charlotte, then they prove to a lot of people their true identity and what they're truly here to do in the college football landscape come 2025. So UNLV versus UCLA, another big ruler game for both programs. One, for UNLV to be able to match up their true legitimacy and check that 3-0 record, or for UCLA to be able to say Nico still has some game in him and we're not going to get walked over every single week. A big game for both sides. I'm excited to see who's going to prove themselves, who's going to step up to this plate, and who is going to be good for their squad when game time comes. Those are the 5 games that I have for you to keep your eye on and to bookmark in your mind when you're watching college football or just tracking it this Saturday. Again, I'll go over it's Michigan versus Oklahoma, it's USF versus Florida, it's Vanderbilt versus Virginia Tech, it's North Carolina versus Charlotte, and it's UCLA versus UNLV, the 5 games that you need to keep bookmarked. And obviously, if you're a fan of another team, you're going to go watch their game, obviously. But keep in mind those 5 games, track them, read them, analyze them, use them to your advantage. Those are the 5 games that I'm showing you to track and keep bookmarked for week 2. Next segment, the NFL 5 teams that I believe are going to be sleepers for this Super Bowl 60. Let's get right into it. The final segment I have for you guys today is 5 NFL sleeper teams I believe have a serious shot at going to Super Bowl 60 and being very competitive this season. Let's get right into it. The first team that I have is the Washington Commanders. Obviously a team that we saw last season were in the NFC Championship, a team with rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels at the helm going absolutely crazy. Jaden Daniels accounted for 3,568 pass yards along with 891 rushing and 31 total touchdowns. He had 9 interceptions. A great rookie season, had them all the way in the NFC Championship game like we mentioned, and a team that has got some additions this offseason and they look to improve upon last season. They got Josh Connerly in the first round of this year's draft. They got Trey Amos in the second round, traded for Laramie Tunsil, got Javon Kinlaw, got Jonathan Jones, Will Harris. They're a team that's gotten some additions over the course of this offseason, but they have also had some departures such as Diami Brown and Jeremy Chin. Nothing too crazy that'll affect the overall landscape of this team, especially with the Commanders getting that Terry McLaurin deal done. He'll be on the field. He's ready to play. This unit's ready to go. Trade away Brian Robinson Jr. as well. Jacoby Crosby-Merritt is going to be the starting running back, which everyone is going to be very excited to see. Jacoby Crosby-Merritt. I hope I said that right. Jacoby Crosby-Merritt. I'm very ready to see him play. But they have the 8th hardest strength of schedule this season. Yeah, we heard that right. 8th hardest. They start off the week against the Giants, so it shouldn't be too bad. They play Sunday at 1 p.m. They'll be playing at home against the Giants, so they get to open up on an easier note, but they do have a little stretch where they go from Kansas City to Seattle to Detroit, then Miami, who's not really too much of a threat, and obviously they have to play the Eagles twice every year along with the Cowboys, but they also do get to play the Giants twice every year. So that's pretty nice for them as well. And the Washington Commanders are just a team that's going to look to continue to improve upon their success last season. Dan Quinn is a phenomenal head coach, Cliff Kingsbury calling the offensive plays, and I believe Washington, with the addition of Deebo Samuel and everyone of that sort, that they can look very, very good and continue to make that stretch. So hopefully that we can see them in a Super Bowl berth. We can see them playing come deep February, and the Washington Commanders are going to be in that spot and go where they want to go. The next team I have on this list is the Los Angeles Rams. Matthew Stafford's been there before. 2021, he led that Rams squad to a Super Bowl with all of the guys, and they came out victorious. He did have Cooper Kupp, Andrew Whitworth, Aaron Donald, all those guys along his side, but this year, it's a whole different looking squad. His main targets, Puka Nacua, and new addition, Devontae Adams, along with that young man, Jared Verse, who has been an absolute stud defensive rookie of the year last season. And this Rams squad, still coached by Sean McVay, is very phenomenal, very, very hungry to get back to that playoff ascent and looking to have a Super Bowl appearance. We saw them in the divisional round of the playoffs give the Eagles a run. They took it down to the final drive of that game. They were right in it neck and neck with the eventual Super Bowl champions. The Los Angeles Rams were very, very good. They do start off their season on a little bit of a difficult note playing the Texans. They also have the Eagles week 3. They have the Ravens week 6. They do play some difficult opponents, but I believe that this is a squad that's poised to repeat in the NFC West. They're poised to get back to that playoff spot, poised to make a little bit of a run, and they are looking to get right back in a Super Bowl just like they did in 2020. 2021. So that's why my second team to watch is going to be the Los Angeles Rams in this regard. The third team is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals, the team that lost to the Los Angeles Rams in 2021. Could we see a rematch here in Super Bowl 60? We might not know, but I do love the Bengals this offseason. Their guys are paid. Everyone's ready to go. They're looking good like a squad. They're still coached by Zach Taylor, same coach that took them to that Super Bowl. Chase Brown, who you see on your screen right now, my fantasy RB1, so I really hope he plays well this season. They look ready to play, they look poised, and they look to continue to build off some success. They didn't see too much last season, mainly in part due to the defense. Not very good defensive ratings at all. 25.5 opponents' points per game, ranked them 25th in the league, and they just look to continue upon those offensive numbers that had them top 5. So hopefully they'll continue to grow, continue to get better, put all the pieces together, climb that mountaintop, ascend to where they want to be. Jamar Chase, coming off a Triple Crown victory, looks to continue to be a top 1 receiver in the NFL. He's top 3 unanimous. Everyone should have the same top 3. It's Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb. Really no debate. Talk to a wall if you think otherwise. But they look to continue to grow this offense and get to where they want to go. Pretty simple, like starting off the season, nothing too crazy. Browns, Jaguars, Vikings, not too hard of a 3-game stretch to get them acclimated to the season. Then they do see a little bit of a difficult stretch with the Broncos, who I believe are going to be very, very competitive this season, the Detroit Lions, the Green Bay Packers, and the Pittsburgh Steelers, led by obviously Aaron Rodgers. They play them twice in the span of 4 weeks due to that being a division opponent. But the Cincinnati Bengals look to have a run 14th hardest strength of schedule this season, but it's not anything that they can't get through. So this squad looks to get back to the Super Bowl, much like they did in 2021, and find success. The fourth squad I have in this entanglement is going to be the Houston Texans, a team again that I am very high on as well. CJ Stroud led, Nico Collins, unanimous wide receiver 1 for that squad, but they also do have some very young rookies coming into the building that know what they are doing. I'm a big Jaden Higgins fan, and I think he will be very, very good for this squad. John Mechie we saw traded out as well, so that could bump up some stuff in that wide receiver room. Obviously, they're going out without Tank Dell for the entirety of this season. Brutal knee injury last season, and I just hope he can get back on the season as soon as possible. Get back on the field, that is, as soon as possible, because Tank Dell is a force, and he is one of the best players on that roster. Especially, he's just so fun to watch when he gets the ball in open field. And Derek Stingley as well, leading this defense along with Jalen Petrie and some other guys on it, and they look to have some success. 15th easiest strength of schedule. Like we mentioned, they start off with the Los Angeles Rams, then they play the Buccaneers, but besides from that, they don't have too much competition on this schedule. They do have to play the Ravens and Chiefs, Bills as well, respectively, in this season, but they're in an easier conference, definitely one that they are set up to win. They're in a division with the Titans, the Jaguars, and the Colts, one they're obviously set up to win. They're obviously competitive in that AFC South year after year because there's not many competition factors in that squad, and that's a duo that I am very excited to watch this season. Derek Stingley and Kamari Lassiter, a guy that has been absolutely balling, a guy that is poised to break out for the Texans this season, and this secondary is going to be very, very good. One of the best defenses in the NFL coming into this season, and they just have the guys and the coach in DeMeco Ryans, someone that I'm again very high on, to take them as far as they want to go. Just got to improve upon their scoring last season, continue to get better. 21.9 points per game, ranked them 19th. 38 touchdowns, ranked them 21st. You got to get scoring more. You got to be more efficient in that department, and you have to move the ball better than you did last season. But a squad that I believe in, I believe that they can go as far as they want to. CJ Stroud, heading into his 3rd season, is a mature, nearing that veteran status as a quarterback, and the Texans are going to start to put it together and hopefully make a deep playoff push. And the final team I had these set up before this Micah Parsons trade is the Green Bay Packers, and it just solidifies my mind even more when it comes to having them on this list, because obviously any team that has Micah Parsons attached to it, I instantly like a whole lot more. One of the best historically first 4 seasons in league history at an edge rusher spot or a linebacker spot, wherever you want to play him. He's a freak. He can play anywhere on the defense. He is seriously a unit, and he's going to elevate this Packers squad even more than they already are. I was already obviously high on them heading into the season, as we see with some dogs, Luke Van Ness, some other guys, Josh Jacobs on the offensive side of the ball playing alongside Jordan Love. They went out and got their guy in the draft. I mean, Matthew Golden, who's going to be an absolute stud, Xavier McKinney, who I'm very high on, Jaden Reed, who can be one slot instead of Matthew Golden. You can change him up interchangeably. There he is right there, the guy. We saw his walkout in Green Bay. It was crazy. It was epic. He had so much aura there, Matthew Golden did. So the Packers squad is just legit. They also, along with that, have the 6th hardest strength of schedule. So this is going to be a battle-tested team throughout the course of the regular season. As soon as they near those Week 17, Week 18 matchups, they're going to be ready heading into playoffs, which we obviously believe that they can go to. They're in a very hard NFC North, but if they can just keep winning, keep playing games the way that we think they can, they will be very well battle-tested, very well-versed heading into the playoffs, and they will be ready to fight heading late January and maybe early February, depending on how good this squad truly is. But the Green Bay Packers looking to run it back. Jordan Love, 3,389 yards, 25 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, looking to improve upon that last season. Also at a 63% passer rating with a 96 QBR. Not a bad season at all from Jordan Love. Josh Jacobs obviously had an amazing season, 1,329 yards on the ground, 16 touchdowns, his career high, 5th in the NFL, averaged 4.4 yards per carry. This offense just looking to be even more explosive, even better, and they are led by 7th-year head coach Matt LaFleur. They are obviously in great hands. Great head coach. He's done great things in Green Bay over his tenure, and he continues to try and get better year after year and get this squad in a better position to do what? What's the goal at the end of the day? The title of the video, win a Super Bowl. That's why I have the Green Bay Packers as my 5th squad here in this video to win a Super Bowl. A sleeper team for sure. So again, the 5 sleeper teams that I have are the Commanders, the Rams, the Bengals, the Texans, closing it out, the Packers. 5 teams you should not sleep on this season. I believe they'll all come out. They'll all be competitive. They'll be battle tested. They'll be very good heading their course of the season, leading into the final couple of weeks, and eventually into the playoffs, where I think they're going to have experience. They're going to be battle tested, toted. They're going to find their way to winning big games. Any 5 of these teams, I believe, would be in the Super Bowl, and I wouldn't really bat an eye. I wouldn't be too crazy surprised, because they are all teams in their respected right that are good, loaded, and have studs on either side of the ball. So again, my 5 teams: Commanders, Rams, Bengals, Texans, Packers, and I believe they are going to be very, very good and help all of their squads be elevated even more than they already are, and hoping to find, again, a Super Bowl spot. Again, that's my 5 teams I believe are going to be Super Bowl sleepers. Thank you guys for tuning into this video. Thank you for tuning in to the Brogan Hillman Show, episode 16. I appreciate every single one of you guys for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, but most importantly, say it with me now, keep God number 1. It's been Brogan, and I'm out.